What's poppin', fam? Welcome to Don't Touch My Mindset, a podcast that is designed to uplift, inspire, and motivate you, and most importantly, share tools to help you protect that mindset. If I'm gonna sit here and have an amazing conversation with somebody, I feel like I have to ask. What's poppin', family? Super excited to be back with you guys. Of course, like I said, we're back with another Pivotal Moments, and I'm really excited to introduce this guest. Now, we've been to Australia, we've been to New England, we've been to the United Kingdom, we've been to Canada, but we are back touching base in Bali. And let me tell you, this entrepreneur, this leader, this business owner, this highly motivated, I want to say seasoned entrepreneur in the field of coaching, mindset, helping females accelerate their healing relationships, careers, and life quality, is sitting down with me to have a conversation about her pivotal moments, about the things that she's gone through, about the things it's taking her to work with clients ranging from newbies in the business to multi-six-figure business owners to high achievers in corporate jobs. Like, she specializes in helping women through inner healing and mindset work. Like, I'm super excited for this conversation. I want to introduce everybody to Laura Herde. Did I say that right? Laura Herde.
Yeah, you did.
How are you feeling? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I am so excited to be here today and hopefully share some, highly inspiring, impactful moments with you all. I think this is going to be an interesting conversation. I don't know what you have prepared for me, but I'm ready to flow.
I'm so excited about it. I want to kick it off. First question I ask everybody is, why do you lead? Why do you lead?
Why do I lead?
Yes.
So I think for a lot of people, it's like leadership is only for business owners, and I don't think that that is the case. I think that for us as humans, we all have to lead in some capacity. For me, last year, the theme of self-leadership was really big, and so that's where I really learned that leading is not just something you do when you have a high position at a corporate job or when you are your own boss and CEO. I think leadership is really for everyone who wants to hold themselves accountable to high standards in life and who wants to just really, make big things happen for themselves. And so self-leadership has been a concept that I learned so much about last year. And for me, I'm leading myself, not just because I kind of owe it to myself, but also because I obviously want to lead others. So as a coach, as a guide, as a mentor, for me, it's super important to really show up for myself and to hold myself accountable and to be self-responsible in order to lead others. I think all coaches agree, like, we have to embody what we do and what we speak about in order to be really great leaders and be really great mentors. And so for me, leadership is just like a non-negotiable on a daily basis when it comes to small habits, but also when it comes to big decisions. So yeah, I think leadership is really just for everyone. It's not just something that people like who have a certain job position like have to think about, if that makes sense.
I completely agree with that. And I love that you said that right off the bat, because that's exactly like I work with individuals in active recovery and help them manage destructive emotions and habits so they can maintain their sobriety. I help leaders, CEO, executive leaders manage destructive emotions and habits so they can grow their business, right? But I also believe in making leadership extremely personal. And it sounds like that's what you believe in as well. It sounds like that's what you're actually teaching individuals as they lead their life. As I say, how we lead conversation with ourselves. will lead our mindset. How we lead our diets will lead our bodies. How we lead our talents will lead how we show up in business. So I love that one you led with, that leading yourself before you can lead others. So let me ask you, Laura, if you take away all the titles, all the successes, all the failures, all the trials, the tribulations, the adversity, if you take it all away, who are you and why are you here?
I love that you're asking that, because like that's kind of coming back to your core why, isn't it? So I mean, I started my business of a passion when it comes to mental health, when it comes to inner alignment, when it comes to holistic well-being. And that's been my core driver since day one. It's like, because I've led myself through so many hard moments in my life, naturally, when I came out of all of that, I wanted to also help others lead themselves and become self-sufficient in that way. And so my core why is really just leaving this world a little bit better than I found it, and helping others who suffer or struggle right now to really overcome that season or that life period that they're in that may feel really challenging right now, with more ease, and also obviously faster, because what mentorship does, it collapses time, right? Like, you're not meant to hit this wall like 7 times. You have someone show you the way. And so, because I've hit walls multiple times and things felt really fucking hard, I eventually like found a way and found, processes and frameworks that really worked for me and helped me master myself and lead myself, which anyone can use, to also lead themselves successfully in their lives, so that if they struggle, if they encounter challenges, which that is life, right? That they don't have to stay stuck and keep suffering, but rather can lead themselves through those ups and downs of life successfully. And this is what I'm here, and this is what I do, and it doesn't take titles, it doesn't take successes per se. It just takes, I think, willingness, and also having the ability to self-reflect and think about, okay, what did I do that clearly worked, that will naturally work for others? And that's what I'm here, and that's what I'm here to do on this planet.
I absolutely love that. I'm already loving this conversation. Already loving this conversation. Wow. So it doesn't take successes, it doesn't take titles in order to lead yourself in a better position or a better way. And that's why I believe that adversity, trials, and tribulations don't make you, but they reveal you. They reveal your character and how you hold yourself. And if it is harder than it seems, right, then we can always build ourselves better and grow and develop into a better self-leader out of those situations. So adding in the trials and tribulations, I know you haven't always been in this mindset that you are now, or always been on the other side of this, or one teaching other people how to lead themselves, but also teaching other people how to coach others on building a business. What did it take to get to this point?
It took a lot. So, I mean, I can share my entire life story, but I'm not going to bore you guys like that. And rather really boil it down. So there's been a couple of I'd say main moments that really shook me and shaped me. And I'd say one of those was definitely when I was depressed, when I was a teenager. I was around 12-ish years old, maybe 13. At that time, I had a lot to carry. In my, family life, my parents getting separated, and that being like a very unhealthy dynamic to me. Witnessing that as a child wasn't necessarily easy. As well as like other external circumstances, like not really having true friendships, not really feeling like I can rely on anyone, like feeling like I always have to be the strong one. Then on top of that, being a perfectionist, high achiever, like it was a lot of pressure, like inner pressure and outer pressure. And so that really broke me at some point. And so eventually realizing that if I don't heal mentally, if I don't heal emotionally, and also like eventually it started impacting me physically, I was really physically sick. And realizing if I don't heal holistically on all levels, like then this is not working. Like I was so close to going to a clinic. And the doctor, I can still remember that day and that moment where I sat there, my mom was in the room as well. And the doctor looked at me and said to me, Laura, like if you want to stay with your mom, you have to do something, you have to heal, you have to be open to healing. Because I was so closed off to it. I was so scared. I didn't want I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to see anyone. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want any of that. And when the doctor said that to me, like, you will lose your mom, that's when something clicked. And I was like, no. I can't lose her. I can't not see her. I can't not be around her anymore. And that's really what was the moment where I decided I have to fucking heal. Like, whether it's pretty or not, whether it's easy or not, whether it's comfortable or not, I have to devote myself to healing, because otherwise I'll lose her. And like, she was my everything, right? Like she was like the reason why I wanted to stay alive, even though part of me didn't want to stay alive, right? Like, it was really, really bad and really heavy. And so that's when I really started healing and really started working on myself. I saw a therapist maybe 2 times, didn't really resonate with her, couldn't open up to her, so stopped going there. And then really just did it by myself, but also like just talking to my mom. It was kind of like my mom was my therapist at that time, and she was amazing, let me tell you. We processed so much together, and that really, really helped to like feel so held by her and feel supported, and really opening up about like what was going on inside of me, right? And like understanding what's been weighing me down so much has been amazing, because before I didn't have an understanding of what was actually happening that was impacting me mentally so much. And so it was kind of working my way out of there slowly but surely. It took, I would say, like almost a year, if not longer than that, for me to like fully feel like myself again. Actually, not like myself, like my previous self, but a new me, like the real me. And it's been a beautiful period of shedding layers and releasing old beliefs, and also like old patterns of like people pleasing and, you know, perfectionism and all those things that I carried with me, because I ultimately thought that I was unworthy of love. Like that was the baseline of, you know, like how I was operating every day. And really stepping into and owning my worthiness has been amazing. My confidence, and realizing that I just had to get to know my true self in order to feel really good about myself. And so that's been one of the moments that really, really, really shaped me and helped me become a happier version of myself. I can't remember what the main question was, but I can't remember what the main question was.
I love it. Don't you?
But I hope it answers the question.
It does. I was like, what, who were you before all of this? And you took me back to 12, and I just want to make sure that you said you started doing this work when you were 12, 13, when the doctor looked at you and was just like, you have to be open to heal.
Wow. Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, well, just a lot earlier than I would think that anybody would face that type of heaviness, you know. So what kind of healing did you start doing? What kind of frameworks that did you use at that age? You know, is that just talking to your mom like a therapist, or is that was it going to therapy? What kind of frameworks did you use at that point that really helped you that type at that age? You know, as life is still going on, as you have many emotional challenges as well at that age too, and then trying to deal with that, it seems like you almost had to be an adult, you know.
I definitely grew up a little bit too fast. I fully want to agree on that. It was like I actually grew up before that, because I already felt like I had to like take care of my family and like the things that were playing out there. Like again, the relationships of my parents, like the relationship with my parents was really a healthy one. So already at that point, before depression, I felt like I had to grow up, if that makes sense. So like that was already a point where I felt like be a child. I can't be the one being taken care of, if that makes sense. And so when I healed, I wasn't really using like framework as you would now, like with NLP, and like I didn't really have any modalities at hand. But what I did was I was diving into, you know, personal development YouTube videos and reading a lot of books, and just like really soaking up a lot of knowledge on like how the mind works and how I can shift my identity, because I knew that I was kind of feeling disconnected from myself. Like I was feeling numb in my body. I knew something was up, right? And so I knew I had to like learn a little bit about it to then walk myself out of it. I definitely want to say a big part of it though was talking to my mom. I can remember us sitting in the kitchen and like really like me just processing, because until that point, I had never really processed a lot of things that were going on in my mind that felt so heavy. that were literally impacting my nervous system, my physical health. Like my body was responding to what was going on inside of me, right? And I guess like that really, really, really was a huge chunk of my healing, was like really sitting in the kitchen with my mom, talking to her, and processing and realizing things rather than just keeping it all in myself. A big part was also journaling. Like I started journaling, I started self-reflecting, asking myself like all those meaningful questions that I think every human being at some point should ask themselves, like, who am I? Who am I really? What do I want? What do I value? Like, what do I like about myself? What do I maybe also dislike about myself, right? Because there were so many things that I also wanted to change. Like, I didn't want to keep people pleasing anymore. I didn't want to keep being a perfectionist. I didn't want to do those things that were clearly not working for me and making me unhappy. And so through all those realizations, through journaling and reading and talking about things, like I really started finding myself, and releasing a lot of what was heavy. Again, I didn't have healing modalities. I wish I had at that point.
Yeah.
I was not familiar with that at all.
Yeah.
But I think it's that all of that was what led me to where I am now, like where I did get certified in 2019 in order to have more tools, modalities at hand, like NLP and time techniques and, nervous system regulation tools and all those things. That's been really changing the game. But back in the days, it was just reading, it was just reflecting, it was just talking. It was
Yeah.
really as quote unquote simple as that.
And it takes effort to do it, to sit down and do those things. Or a lot of people think that they can read a book and they'll have the magic fix, or they can go through a framework and do well, the framework is there to help it make that journey a little bit easier to that point of access. And once you get to that point of access, then you have to walk through that. Then you have to see, okay, what do I need to confront within me? Whether that's getting there through a behavioral analysis assessment, whether that's getting there through meditation, breath work, whatever, however you get to that access point of seeing where the trauma, big T, little t is, and then you have to address that. So you said something that really stuck out to me, to find your values. Talk to me about your values. Talk to me about your core values and how you operate today. What are your top 3 core values?
I want to say one of them is definitely freedom, still to that day. And with freedom, like that means so many things. But for me, it really means freedom in how I express myself. That is one thing, because I used to always hide who I was. I would never share my opinion openly, right? Like that was not freedom. I wasn't free. Then obviously there's mental freedom, there's emotional freedom, but also just like the freedom to live life on my own terms, in the way that feels good for me. Like I personally could not commute every day to a job because I know I would feel stuck. I would feel trapped. I wouldn't feel like I'm making my own decisions. And so for me, I realized like I'm the kind of person, everyone is different here, but for me, I realized I literally physically can't work for someone else. Like I tried it, it just didn't work for me. I just could not sit there. Like every single like piece of my body was just like screaming at me, Laura, get the fuck out of here. And so I realized that that is obviously also part of freedom, and I need that. Besides the mental and emotional freedom and the freedom to be myself, my true self. Another core value is honesty. My friends always joke like, you're the most honest person I know. And I think some people may say I'm bold, I'm direct, but I just think I'm being really, really honest with myself and others. Like I can't not say what I think or how I feel. I think I'm doing myself and others a huge disservice when I do. And I don't sugarcoat things, which doesn't mean that I'm like a mean person. It just means that I'm not trying to cover anything up or like make it sound a certain way. So like you can say very honest things in a very loving way. That's what I believe in. And so I think it's really, really important to be honest with yourself in the first place, because when you start lying to yourself and telling yourself, oh, it's okay, it's fine, or this is not a big deal, or anything like, oh, my job isn't that bad, or this partnership actually does make me happy, my partner is not that bad, like that's when you're settling, aren't you, right? And I'm not available for that. So honesty is another huge one. And then I would also really say fun and pleasure has become a core value of mine, because I used to live a life where I would always pressure myself, Like I almost thought I didn't deserve to feel like activated and to have fun and to just enjoy myself, because I thought I had to hustle or achieve or do something to earn it, to earn like the fun or the pleasure, whatever. And so now I'm really in a place where it's just like, no, I have to have fun. If it's not fun, I'm not here for it. If I have to do something and it's not fun, I'm not gonna do it. Like it's just as simple as that. Like I think a lot of people live life not having enough fun. That's truly what I believe in. And it was me for the longest time too. And so deciding that life gets to be fun, it gets to be lighthearted, it doesn't have to be as serious, which doesn't mean not taking serious things seriously, because I certainly do. But whenever there is an opportunity to laugh and to make fun of something, or just like enjoy myself or like have a good time, I'll take that opportunity. I'll not let that pass by as I used to. So I guess, yeah, freedom, honesty / truth, and fun, pleasure, joy, whatever you want to call it, is definitely something that I do my best to live by every day, because it's essential for me to thrive.
That's absolutely beautiful. I'm glad you know them off the top of your head and why. Because I always ask, like when I go and work with companies, I work with leaders or emerging talents. I say, talk to me about your values. What are your core values? And they'll spit off something: integrity, respect, and honesty, right? And I'm like, cool. What behaviors do you display that back that up, right? And I love that after every value, you gave me a behavior. You gave me a reason why. That's something that one guy's take note of this. She's been intentional about discovering the things that energize her and the things that drain her, right? And then she's able to build her life around those values. So talk to me about this ebook, right? Because as you talked about, from going from hustle culture to understanding your values, like if you don't want to do it and it's not fun, then I'm not there, right? And I don't want to settle for that. And so how did you escape hustle culture and everybody telling you that you have to be busy all the time and you need to be doing $50,000 to $60,000 a month or you're not a success? How did you battle that mindset?
That's been such a hard one. Actually, when I was reflecting before this interview on my most pivotal moments, another one that came up was hitting burnout. And that was obviously a result of me buying into hustle culture and being a part of it almost for quite a long time. Like it started in school when I was starting to always get straight A's. Like that mindset started there already. Like, oh, I have to prove, I have to achieve, I have to be really fucking good at something. Otherwise, I'm worthless, right? And that kind of mentality drives a lot of people to do things that actually are not meaningful to them. It's just to prove. It's just to fill an empty void. And so for me, when I was hitting burnout, I think that was in my second year of business, or maybe the start of my third year of business, I really realized that, holy, I've decided to become self-employed, to have more freedom, to have more fun, to actualize myself, to follow my passion, to live out my values. And then I'm doing this to myself. Like I'm working so damn hard to make other people's lives better, and along the journey losing myself and not prioritizing my own well-being. Like what the fuck, right? Like it doesn't make any sense. And so when I was in that place where I was feeling so low on energy and so tired, so resentful towards my business too, because I was the one not having boundaries, but I was blaming my business, even though I'm the one leading it, right? Also very funny. No, but I really understood, like I have to find a way to make this more enjoyable, to make this more sustainable as well. Because obviously how I was operating, that's not sustainable. When you're operating at a record speed all the time, it's not sustainable. Same when you're working out. Like when you're working out 2 hours a day, 7 days a week, you have no recovery time. Like it's not sustainable, right? Like you can't do that forever. And so for me, the goal was to really find a lifestyle that makes it sustainable so I can do this forever. And I can always show up from a place of integrity as well, because I can then serve from an overflowing cup, and it's a place of embodiment because I'm embodying joy and pleasure and self-care myself first, rather than just being good at like, guiding and mentoring and sharing about it, but like actually not taking really good care of myself. And so realizing that has been great, because it's been really bringing me back to living in alignment with my values, and realizing I have to be the embodiment of my work, and I have to pour from an overflowing cup, not an empty cup. And it really took like releasing those nagging old beliefs that kept me stuck in those perfectionism, high achiever cycles of like pushing myself too hard and setting super tight deadlines for everything. Everything was urgent, everything was important, everything had to be done immediately, like bullshit, right? Because when you're your own boss, you can set your own deadlines as you want, as you please, right? And so when I stopped trying to do it all and be it all for everyone and having no boundaries, even with clients, like always being available all the time, like chasing shiny objects, just like completely losing sight of like what actually moves the needle in my business, that's when I could start like really prioritizing and restructuring my business and starting to outsource and get help and ask for help, which I always told myself, no, I don't need help. That's a sign of weakness. I was like in this really unhealthy energy of like hyper independent woman trying to do it all by herself. Like it was just not working. And admitting that to myself has been really healing. And it obviously like it required for me to look at my ego, look at my old beliefs around like me having to do it all by myself and like me not being worthy of receiving help and support. And also me having to hustle in order to be worthy of success in the first place. Because I thought if I didn't work hard for something, why would I deserve to have it, right? And so really shifting all those nagging old beliefs and all those old behaviors and patterns that came with those beliefs has been a game changer for me, because it really catapulted me towards feminine leadership, which is very much what I'm teaching about today. So like having a more magnetic, a softer approach to leading yourself in all areas of life, in your romance, your lifestyle, but also your business. And it's been really changing the game for me.
What can you say about, expand on that a little bit, feminine leadership, of really attracting what you want in your business, attracting what you want in your relationships, attracting what you want in your life is what I got from that. And teaching other females that, one, leadership is not an old white man in a suit. Leadership is how you lead yourself, right? And you can develop the leader from within you if you spend time healing you, right? And I love the philosophy of what you're doing. So talk to me about what it looks like for someone to come to you and say, hey, I need help. I'm struggling in my relationships, I'm struggling in my business, I'm not happy. Where do you have them start? What's the first step for somebody who needs help when they come to you?
It's really to look at how things feel rather than how they look or what makes sense. Because a lot of people operate in this way where they say, but this just makes sense, I have to do it. And they tell themselves certain things about their lives, like I have to be in this relationship, I have to be in this job, I have to do things in a certain way. And feminine leadership really brings you back into your body and what feels good, what feels aligned for you, rather than following the shoulds and the have tos and the musts, right? That oftentimes are even like external, like we internalize like what's been told to others, like just what we see in society, like how things work, and we think we have to operate in the same way. And so really asking someone coming to me like, hey, like how do things feel for you though? And what would feel good for you in your relationship, in your lifestyle, in the way you nourish yourself, in the way you work out, in the way you structure your days, and the way you approach work and work like on your projects, like what would feel good? And usually they immediately know what would feel good because it's just so intuitive, right? Like it's a very intuitive approach to living your life. It's almost like you're getting back into your body, realizing, oh, that would feel good. I would like to do that, right? And oftentimes it's like it's all these shoulds and like all these beliefs around how things are supposed to be that make people do things that actually feel out of alignment with them, that don't feel true to them, and that don't work for them, their minds, and their bodies. And that's usually when they feel stuck because they're leading themselves in a way that doesn't actually work for them. And so it's really coming back to what feels good rather than what makes sense or what we think, how we think things should be. So when you say, for instance, oh, I'm not really feeling happy in my relationship, it's like, okay, what do you need? What are your needs? Not, oh, like, like what does your partner want? Of course, you want to consider your partner's needs too, but like also look at what feels good for you. Like, I think a lot of women, especially women, are like wanting to please their partners, wanting to get their approval, right? Like, and I think for us women, it's really important to look at what do we want in a relationship? What are we looking for? And to actually be able to verbalize that rather than just like being like, no, I shouldn't say that. I need to be good. Like, I think it's really, really important to speak up. And like the other way around as well, obviously, I think there's definitely also men who are not speaking up, who are not saying what they would need, what they would want, what would feel nourishing for them in a relationship. And this is really the whole approach of feminine leadership.
Have you? Yeah, I absolutely love that. And you took the next question right out of my mouth was was how would you suggest for a male to follow this type of approach to leadership?
Exactly. It's the same approach.
Yeah.
It's like looking at what feels
Mhm.
good. I
Yeah.
mean, as a man, it's not like, oh, it's forbidden for you to follow feminine leadership approach. Like, I think, I mean, the masculine has its place and the feminine
Yeah.
has its place in both and in each and every single person's lives. Like, I have masculine energy. I love it. If I didn't, I couldn't run a business, right? Like, I wouldn't be structured. I wouldn't be able to hold a lot, and also have feminine energy within me. And I think it's really important to balance that. And it goes in the same way for men. Like, men are supposed to be soft, men are supposed to be emotional, because that's what actually deepens the bond with their partner, right?
Right.
And it's the same thing. It's absolutely the same thing. Like, when you feel like there's something out of alignment as a man in your life, you have to come back to your body and feel into what feels right for me. What would I need? I think a lot of people just suppress their needs. And that's where a lot of like misalignment is created in our lives, because we do things that don't feel good, that don't feel right. We're not following our intuition. We're following the shoulds. And so it pretty much goes in the same way for men as well.
Now that now that's so good. And fellas, if you're listening to this, I want to speak to this too because she said something that's super important on that you have masculine and feminine energy. Don't think that you just have to be stoic or that you have to be masculine, right? You have to uphold the structure. I want you to think of it as a campfire, right? When you look at a campfire, you have the base of the fire, you have the sticks, the twigs, the rocks, the base of the fire. That's the structure of the fire. And then you have the fire and it sits on the base, right? That structure, the base is going to be your masculine energy, and that fire is actually going to be the feminine. And neither would exist if they weren't together. And so this embodiment of feminine leadership, or if you want a masculine title for it, can I change the title for my men listening, right? It's a magnetic leadership, right? If you want a magnetic leadership approach and have people attract the right people, attract the right team, attract the right clients, you got to do what feels right within the structure that you built. And I don't want you, because I want to speak to my men too, because I don't want them to just be like, oh, they're talking about female stuff. No, this is life. This is life stuff, right? That's so awesome. So you said that there were 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pivotal moments that you want to talk about. Let me ask you, when you got past the healing, when you got past the burnout, tell me, how did you evolve next?
So when I hit burnout, I was, I think, in my early 20s. Now I'm 27. So since that, obviously, I was able to build my business in a way more sustainable way, which was beautiful to see. Because until that point, again, I didn't want to outsource. I didn't feel comfortable like giving other people responsibility because I had control issues, didn't trust anyone, felt like I had to hold it all together, which again stemmed from my childhood of me feeling like I have to hold my family together, I have to hold things together, I have to be in control all the time, which that is also quite masculine, right? Like holding the structure, holding the frame, wanting to be in control. Like that's not what was good for me. And so it wasn't good for me as a child, it wasn't good for me as a business owner. Yes, as a leader, you have to set the frame, but also you have to delegate, you have to outsource, you have to trust other people and empower them to be self-led as well. And so realizing that has really enabled me to grow my team and thus my business and my impact. And it's been really beautiful to see. But you're right, there has been another pivotal moment when I was just entering my first relationship, which that was 3 years ago. And until that point, I never had a relationship. Because again, hyper independent woman traveling the world, building her business, like didn't have time for that. I was telling myself, I don't have time for that. It's so funny now. Oh my gosh. Okay. So told myself that lie for a lot of years, wasn't emotionally available, avoidant attachment style, like just not letting anyone close really. And so when I met my now current partner, I realized, oh shit, like I have a lot of old patterns that I still carry with me that are definitely not working in a relationship. Like I can do that by myself, but I can't do that when I'm like trying to build and share a life with someone, right? And so there was a point in our relationship where I really realized, oh my God, I'm so avoidant. Like I feel so afraid of emotional intimacy. Like I feel so afraid to let someone into my mind and like to really, like really develop feelings for someone, because obviously, yes, there is a risk of getting hurt. As with anything in life, there's risk. You never have full certainty. And that freaked me out because I was like, I can handle hardships in my business. I can handle, losing my father. I can handle a lot of things emotionally, but I thought I was not able to handle losing someone again. So I didn't trust myself ultimately that I could handle loss and grief again. Because I lost my dad when I was in LA. That was also just before I had burnout in 2019. So I felt like my world was like falling apart. And when I had just recovered from that, I felt like I can't do that again. So I can't let someone close to me, because if I'm losing him again, like my world is gonna end. Like I can't deal with that. And so I really noticed, and my partner really noticed, like how I was just not prioritizing our relationship. I was still trying to keep him at a distance, and it was just not working. And so eventually I realized, like, okay, this is really not working. He doesn't want to be with me anymore if I keep keeping him at a distance. And so eventually from there, I slipped into the opposite. I slipped into anxious attachment. And so from then onwards, it was so interesting to like look back on it now. I'm like, oh my gosh, like how did that work? I went from avoidant to anxiously attached, and like feeling like I always had this fear of losing him. I always like sometimes even when he would go out, I'd be like, oh my God, like please text me when you're there. Like I had just such a fear of like something could happen, or like I was so afraid of losing him. It was just like this really anxious feeling all the time. And so eventually I realized like I have to become secure within myself. I have to become secure in this relationship in order for us to thrive. Like it doesn't work any other way. And so that's when I really went from anxiously attached, like avoidant, to anxiously attached, and then to eventually feeling more secure in this relationship, because I managed to feel more secure with myself. And also realizing like if we ever broke up or anything happened, like I would still survive. Like I've survived before and I'll survive again. And like, of course, like even when you think about breaking up, for instance, with someone you love, like it's the most horrible feeling, right? But also like we are strong enough to survive that. We're strong enough to move on. And so really realizing like I had a life that I always loved by myself, and like I love this person so much and he enriches my life in so many ways. But like if you lose someone, like there's a reason for it, right? And so really understanding like what belongs into your life will stay, what doesn't, it's naturally gonna, leave your life eventually. And this has been really helping me to not be as attached to our relationship and to him anymore, I guess. And really like starting to date myself again and not lose myself in a relationship. Because I think what happens for a lot of people, especially like in longer relationships, like a year, 2 years, 3 years, and even far beyond that, of course, because 3 years is nothing, to be honest. Like for a lot of people, they'll be like, that's not, but it feels like it's a good time frame to like live together and build a life together and feel like really close to someone, right? And so I think, yeah, it's just really, really important to really start dating yourself. Again, if you feel like you've lost yourself in the relationship because you've started placing your entire focus on your partner and spending time together and doing everything together, and always, even like just always saying we rather than I, like, how are you? Like, oh, we're good. Like, no, like how am I? Right? So it's really, I see, like I do it myself too sometimes. Like I find myself guilty of that too. Like just saying, oh, we're good, because usually people are like checking in on us, but like sometimes if it's just me, I have to say I don't have to say we, right? It's really important in a relationship to keep dating yourself, is what I found. And that really also helped to overcome this anxious style, because I kept focusing on myself again and not just, either working or being present with my partner, but actually like nourishing and nurturing my entire life outside of the relationship as well, like hobbies and friendship, anything that I find pleasurable that has nothing to do with him, right? And so this has been really, really helping, because I think a lot of people lose that along the way.
Yeah. No, that's really good. And I definitely wanted you to say, I wanted you to explain what did that look like? How do you date yourself while in that relationship and stay interdependent versus independent or codependent, and also get away from this fear of losing something or this hope of something lasting forever? Like how do you maintain that balance? It seems like you have mastered balance. Like how do you do that? How do you do that?
How do you do that? I love that. No, I mean, I'm not perfect at it. There's definitely days where I'm like, babe, I want to spend time. It's like, no, I can't, right? Like, so there's still days where I feel like, oh, I really want to spend time with him. But it's just that I realized I enjoy, and I had to really practice that too. Like whenever, so in the beginning it was really hard. So whenever he had to work or like he had to go somewhere and I felt attached and I felt like, no, I have to spend time with you. My focus was all on him. I really realized, wait a second, whenever I'm by myself, I freaking enjoy it. Like I have the best time. Like the first maybe hour or so, I'm still feeling like that's really sad. I want to have him around. I think a lot of women are like that, by the way, with their partner. But no, I truly believe so. I see that in my clients. I see that in my girlfriends. Like I see it with a lot of people. And so, what really helps is understanding that when we're actually learning to enjoy the heck out of our own presence and our own company, that is when you're in this healthy place of like not needing someone to complete you, not needing someone to make you a happier person, because you're happy by yourself, you're whole by yourself, you're enjoying the heck out of your own company. And if someone comes along who has the ability, like capacity to spend time with you, like when my partner is coming back, like we can still spend time then, right? So like when someone comes along, it's just a bonus. It's not the baseline, it's not essential. It's beautiful. Like love is beautiful, relationship is beautiful, quality time is beautiful. It's my main love language. But it's even more beautiful to really enjoy yourself, enjoy time with yourself. And usually we have resistance when we're like, oh no, like I don't want to have time by myself, like I want to spend time with my partner. But then once we have it and we learn to really fill that time with beautiful things, like for me, always reading, it's going for a walk, it's journaling, doing yoga, it's just doing something for me that he's around. I realized, oh my God, I really enjoy that. I really needed that. And so I think it was 2 weeks ago that I booked myself a little solo getaway, which like even just 2 years ago, I would have never done that because it would have taken away time from being with him. And so I booked that for myself and I had the best time. I had the best time. Doesn't mean I didn't miss him, doesn't mean that I wasn't super happy to be back and like spend time with him again. But it's just so good for us when we're in a relationship to get out sometimes and just date ourselves. So I went to cafes, I did yoga, I had a really cute Airbnb, and I was just like doing me. I was just doing me during that time. And it's been so nourishing. And coming back was so beautiful because he had missed me, I'd missed him, and would have quality timing. So I think this is really, really, really important to be able to enjoy yourself and time with yourself.
That's so good. That's so good. And guys, I want you to know that dating yourself can look like taking a walk around the block every single night by yourself. It can look you don't have to book a trip, but it helps a lot. I used to tell tell my partner that I'm going on an individual spiritual healing retreat. That's what I'm doing, an individual spiritual healing retreat. And I would take that time and really just get in touch with me and my purpose and the things that I love and the things that I do. Because we spend so much time together that we become one person, and then we forget who we are, just like you said. And then so when we actually have to physically rip ourselves apart and be like, yo, okay, this is you and this is me, but still maintain that support for each other. And fellas, you do this as well. Please, like, don't ask for the type of support you need, right? Like you heard Laura say it, like her love language is quality time, and there's things that she knows that she needs. I'm gonna need you guys to figure out, date yourself and learn yourself so you can figure out what you need and then ask your partner to give that to you, whether that looks like quality time, or if that looks like words of affirmation, or if that looks like gifts, whatever that may look like. I need you to ask for that, because if you're male and you don't know how to express yourself, then nobody's going to be able to support you, love you, or hold you, or help you heal, or get through any part of this unnecessary trauma that you think you're holding for no reason. So I love that you brought that up. I got a really random question for you.
Mhm.
Yeah. If you were a slice of pizza, what kind of pizza would you be?
The Hawaii pizza, like with
The,
pineapple. That would be me.
yeah.
I think that would be me. Yeah.
Yeah. Why?
I don't know, because it's tropical, it's a little bit juicy, it's still hearty. I don't know. I also just love pineapple, probably that plays into
The-
it. But I just love the mixture of like it's technically a hearty meal, but like a little bit of sweet. Yes.
I love it. I love it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Pine, Hawaiian. I love it. The German that lives in Bali identifies as a Hawaiian pizza. I love it. I love it.
Yes,
Uh,
makes sense. Makes
oh
sense.
man, it doesn't gotta make sense. It has to feel right, right?
Exactly. Exactly. It's just, oh my God, like I actually realized that I haven't had that in a really long time. I don't even know if they sell it here in Bali, like the one with pineapple on it,
Yeah,
but you can customize, so that's fine. I'll
yeah.
figure it out.
You got to make that. That's your goal for today. How about that? That is
That
your
is
goal.
so
You let me know
good.
when you accomplish that goal for today of having
I'll send you a
a
picture.
slice of Hawaiian pizza. There we go. If you had to do it all over tomorrow, if you had to do it all over again, um, what have you learned about this journey? What have you loved about this journey? And what would you do different?
hmm I would definitely, well, so like to answer the last question first, I would definitely get to know myself even earlier,
Mm.
and understand my needs even earlier. Because I
And
think,
12?
yeah,
She
yeah.
said, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I really think like I mean, I think that should start when you start going to school, because that's when you start interacting with other kids. That's when you form friendships, probably before that too. Like you'll have friends before, but like that's when you're really in this environment where you have to do your homework and you have to be self-responsible, and you again like you're around people, like around other children all the time. I think it would be so good to understand,
Mm.
what am I looking for, what am I looking to learn, what kind of friend do I want to be, what do I look for in a friend. Like I used to be like friends with, like I try to be friends with anyone, like that was also not great, because I'd constantly try to like be 100 different personas a day, because like I was friends with all these different kinds of people, and I was just mirroring them. I didn't even know who I was. Like it was so weird as a child. Like I didn't know what my identity was, and I wish I would have figured out that sooner, just because I think that would have made me feel a lot more stable and grounded and connected to myself. And so yeah, it obviously sounds like really weird to like say, oh, I wish like at like 5 years old I would have figured myself out. No, but like I think just like thinking more about myself and like
Yeah.
really understanding who I am, because I think a lot of children don't think about those things. Like they don't really have a sense of self. I think this is why a lot of kids also kind of lose themselves and like grow up and like don't really know what they want. And I think it's really, really important to start as early as possible. And maybe it sounds unrealistic to say, well, at 10 years old or like 6 years old, like know yourself, but at least starting to have those mindful practices. I'm friends with a woman, she's raising a child, and I think he's, what is he, like 5, 6,
Mm.
something like that. And they're doing like meditation together, they yoga together, and they have like meaningful conversations. And when she was sharing that with me, I was like, oh my gosh, I love that. That is so great to like really show your kid how you're doing things, how you're caring for yourself, how you're connecting with yourself, how you're sitting with yourself. That is invaluable. Like, right? And I think that's not really something that a lot of us had, because our parents didn't really do that, because that wasn't really a thing, that wasn't really common. And so I definitely think that if I had the tools, then I would really like start to get to know myself sooner. Obviously that also depends on like how you're being raised, of course, and all of that. So but other than that, I really wouldn't change a thing, because I think it definitely led me to where I am today, and I'm really grateful for that. And I also wouldn't skip any part of my journey. I wouldn't skip the depression, I wouldn't skip the burnout, I wouldn't skip not dating for a long time, being avoided, and then being anxiously I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world, because it's exactly what I needed to learn certain lessons and to become the person I am today. So I wouldn't change anything. What were the other two questions? Sorry.
What have you learned through this journey, and what have you loved about this journey?
I've learned to really stay true to myself. When I'm not staying true to myself, I'm not living a happy life. When I'm not doing me, when I'm not doing what feels right, then I'm living someone else's life. And like, what's the point of that, right? Because you only have one life for yourself. And so really doing those things that I feel called to do, and it doesn't have to make sense to anyone else. I mean, I left my home country when I was 22. Didn't make sense to my parents, like to my mom. To my friends, everyone's like, what are you doing? You'll be back here in a few weeks. And I was like, watch me. Not gonna come back. And I didn't come back. I stayed in Bali and I kept traveling. It was amazing. And it was just because I believed in myself. I knew if I wanted this, I could have it. Like, there was no other option. Like, not doing my thing was not even an option, because I knew if I wouldn't do me, it would make me feel miserable. And so what I loved about that journey was really peeling back so many layers of my identity and who I am and who I want to become, and really learning so much about myself and other people along the way, making beautiful memories. Again, in my early 20s, I traveled quite a lot, and I loved meeting these people. I loved hearing those stories. That was so enriching. That was so beautiful and meaningful. And I'd do that again and again and again. And it actually makes me miss traveling when I'm talking about it. So I probably have to like do that again very soon, because I think that's the biggest gift we can give to ourselves, is to explore ourselves and the world we're living in and other people and connection. And I think this is what really makes this whole ride of life worth it.
That is beautifully said. It's my number one value, connection. It's my number one value. Any room, any situation, any environment that I'm in, how can I connect with it and the people in it, right? So I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that. I think I am all out of questions. You have spilled the sauce. You have blessed us with an amazing testimony, an amazing story, full of inspiration. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Can you please tell everybody where to find you, how to find you, what to do next after they listen to this podcast?
Of course, yeah. So you can find me on Instagram at laura.herde. So it's Herde for everyone who doesn't know how to spell it. So yeah, you can find me on Instagram. I post stories pretty much every day. I also have a website, so that's www.lauraherde.com. And I also have a podcast. It's called Unfuck Your Life. It's still in the earlier stages. I've just been doing this for a few months, and I'm really enjoying it. We have to record an episode together one time, because I think people would love that as well. So yeah, I have this podcast show. Again, Unfuck Your Life on either Spotify or iTunes. And yeah, that's the best ways to find me and to get in touch. If you want to listen to my podcast, go ahead and do it. I have a weekly newsletter series that's called The Lioness Celebrate. It's value packed, so good. And yeah, there's lots of value on my Instagram, my story highlights. If you want to connect, you can DM me. But yeah, that's how you find me.
That's it. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that, honestly. Wow. Thank you. You have truly blessed us today. One more question. As I ask everybody before they leave, if I offered you the phrase, "Don't touch my mindset," what comes to mind?
So when I say don't touch my mindset, I would say really not letting other people dictate who I am, what to believe in, what's possible for me. For me, it's really protecting your own beliefs, and in a good way though, like not the negative ones, but like the ones where you're like so rooted in confidence, when you believe in yourself, when you want to follow your dreams, and someone else is coming to tell you like, you can't do that, that's impossible, that doesn't work, who are you to do this, like all those things. And I've heard all those phrases myself. And I should have said don't touch my mindset at that point, to be honest. But like when someone else is imposing their limitations on you and projecting all that shit onto you, you have to say don't touch my mindset, because your mindset is what carries you through your life. And it's what opens doors for you that other people will never even see what's on the other side of that door, because they have certain limitations. So don't let other people's projections define who you are or what's possible for you, because you get to define that for yourself, and that's really important.
Wow. Guys, we got a new intro to the podcast, just like that. No, thank you. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on. That was a pleasure. Amazing questions as well. Really fun. I hope everyone enjoys listening.
Oh yes. Oh yes. And guys, when you guys listen to this, DM Laura, don't touch my mindset, just so she knows that you listen to it. So, all right, guys. Thank you. I just want to say that I have enjoyed this conversation.